I challenged some of my talented seminary turned pastors, missionaries friends, to a Bible movie poster design contest. I first sent text messages to each one of them asking if they're up for the challenge. As busy as they are, they all agreed, and it was time to meet up with them. And we all had some time before meeting up, and I assumed they have a Bible book of their choices to base off when designing a movie poster. For example, my Thai friend Fawn, who came to Christ because of the movie Prince of Egypt that came out of the year 1998. And she was so fond of the movie that she grew up drawing arts of the events in Exodus, basically from the movie, which wouldn't be such a challenge for her at all if I let any of them pick any book for their preference. Yes, there was a catch. I asked ChatGPT to list the top 5 least favorite books in the Bible, according to consensus. And these are the 5 books. Coming 5th, we got Ezekiel, which is way too long and bunch of imagery that no one's understand what it's all about. Number 4, we got Obadiah, which is way too short, people's gonna forget that this is even in the book. Coming 3rd is Chronicles, where you got a bunch of histories, and number 2, which is Leviticus, where you got a bunch of laws and rules. Last but not least, we got number 1, Numbers, which the title of the book itself is quite self-explanatory. Well, yes, I'm challenging them to turn the most boring books in the Bible into movie posters. And each one of us picked one, starting from Petros, who chose Numbers, followed by Aruni picked Ezekiel, Fawn picked Leviticus, and I went last with Obadiah because I had a head start of knowing the 5 books that we'll be doing. And though Numbers is listed as the least favorite book in the Bible, it was my top choice because I thought the book was filled with very interesting stories, like examples of the donkey and Balaam. But nonetheless, Obadiah was my second choice coming into this challenge. Obadiah was straightforward, but it lacks narrative. It was an oracle against Edomites, so based on the scriptures and archaeological findings, scholars were able to piece together the background and what led to the writings in Obadiah. I first read through the book and highlight some words that popped up to me. Of course, nowadays we got a trusty Bible project on YouTube which gives us a short visual commentary on the book, and that gives me a great start. For designs, I knew which movie poster I wanted to mimic right from the start. It's one of the, if not greatest movie posters of all time, which is Star Wars A New Hope, art by Tom Jung. The pen art was so iconic, so I decided to give it a try without heavily relying on photo compositing on Photoshop. The direction is quite straightforward. Just like any movie posters, you got the big heads looming over the settings. The story of Obadiah was about Israel and Edomites' conflict, where Edom did not lend a helping hand to their brother Israel when they were attacked. Instead, they got a good laugh at Israel's struggles. The two brothers, Esau and Jacob, are representative of the two nations. And I think it fits well as a mirage looming over the poster, as Obadiah walks into Edomite's fortress. I picked it Twilight Sunset as a time for the setting, as it gives the poster more dynamic colors. And you know, the important purple-blue contrasting with the orange, it always makes a good poster. I think this poster inspired well from Star Wars A New Hope poster, and I think this poster will definitely sell tickets.
The first few drawing, I draw a man trying to reach out to God, like went through dimension and walking toward white light. But then I'm thinking, when I search in movie poster, the main character will be on the movie poster. Then I'm thinking, who is the main character? Actually, it's not human, it's God. So I want to display God in this movie poster. So I come up with another design where really the main character is God. So I represent God with light and kind of like a big hand reaching out, that he wants to reach out to us to have relationship with human. And this hand look like inviting us to grab his hand. And the other one is like, oh, we feel very small and God is like very big. Like the sun, that's very holy. So I'm thinking, okay, which one should I do? I want to try the hand one because that's what I often see when thinking of God holiness. So I go ahead and try with this drawing first. So I want to mix ChatGPT with Photoshop skills. Like actually this is first time that I try using ChatGPT together with Photoshop. So this is how I do it. So I type in first, use this photo as a reference and to describe what I want it to be in my head first. So this is what GPT got after I type in. Then I think, this is actually very close to what I have in mind. So now I move to Photoshop. So first I decide to remove the titles because I don't think it look nice. Then I add in some white light to God's hand and try to make it look brighter. Then I want to add some mountain below because God made Moses on mountain. So that's why I decided to add some mountain using Photoshop generator. Then move some position and then touch up something and adjusting color to have the same ambience as the background. Adding some blue shade and use multiply function to make it look blend with the color, original color. Then adding some light and some shadow. And now I'm back to edit God's hand to look more like transparent. Adding movie title and subtitle, and of course adding some price and credit, and definitely remove red R. Adding some tagline about this movie, and boom, it's done.
Hi everyone, here's my take on one of the old prophetic books, Ezekiel. I have read this book through a few times and I have always found it quite overwhelming and a bit scary. It is definitely very visual with lots and lots of imagery. Think about the visions that Ezekiel receives. The temple, the scary creature angel things that fly around, the one where Ezekiel does a bunch of ridiculously crazy and gross things to warn the Israelites, and there's also the valley of dry bones, which come to life. The list goes on. It is a pretty depressing book and sometimes gory details are depicted, but I wanted to focus on the hope amid the desolate, or rather, God's hope and grace despite the Israelites' disobedience and sinfulness. So where did I begin? I guess I wanted to choose one of those imageries as the focus of my movie poster. In the last few chapters, God describes how their desolate land and situation can and will be transformed. This is the verse from Ezekiel 47, verses 6 to 12. Then he led me back to the bank of the river. As I went back, I saw on the bank of the river very many trees on the one side and on the other. And he said to me, "This water flows toward the eastern region and goes down into the Arabah and enters the sea. When the water flows into the sea, the water will become fresh. And wherever the river goes, every living creature that swarms will live, and there will be very many fish. For this water goes there, that the waters of the sea may become fresh, so everything will live where the river goes. And on the bank of both sides of the river, there will grow all kinds of trees for food. Their leaves will not wither, nor their fruit fail, but they will bear fresh fruit every month, because the water for them flows from the sanctuary. Their fruit will be for food, and their leaves for healing." This eastward flow is a symbolic motive of the healing and life-giving power of God's presence, bringing renewal to a barren landscape. I wanted to visually depict this contrast of the future hope compared to the current hopelessness that Ezekiel was facing. So I focused on the word east as the title of the movie and adapted it to become eastward, to show the journey towards that future hope, which the character may not see yet, but it is what keeps him going. Ezekiel is holding a flaming torch, lighting the path ahead of him. He sees a glimmer of hope in the arid land of worldly sin and despair. I did some research of illustrations that could portray this, and here's what I found. I also looked at movie poster references. Decided to go for a more indie film kind of feel. Minimal, collage-y with simple typography. I must admit that it has been many years since I did any proper design work, so I feel a bit out of touch. But I wanted to explore using generative AI as well. This is the first time I'm doing so. And this is what I included as some elements for the poster. I did some AI, and here you can see the process from start to finish. The movie Eastward is a film inspired by the journey of Ezekiel, who goes on to discover hope in a desolate world. Ezekiel's unwavering obedience, even though he knew the Israelites would not listen, is what impressed me the most. He went to the extent of performing ridiculous acts, sacrificing his own well-being, and suffering through hardships, knowing that his ministry will have zero fruit. But he did not hesitate and stood firm in knowing that he was responding to God's call. Who are the other characters, and how does the story unfold? What does Ezekiel discover along the way? You would have to find out by watching this movie or reading the book of Ezekiel.
To start off, I can't say what my process is because this is a totally new thing for me. You can tell me to design 20 movie posters, and then maybe I'll be able to tell you what my process is. I can tell you what I did this time, though. Uh-oh. So just to map out all the things that could be thought about Numbers, the Bible book, I started with word association, like a web. Everything that came to mind. There were no bad ideas yet. It helped to watch the Bible Project summary and also to speed read through the entire book on my Bible software. I like to go at about 250 words per minute because, it's a long book. One of the concepts that I carried since the time I learned it in seminary was the formation that the Israelites traveled in. Depending on how you interpreted the text, you might end up with something like this. This was fascinating to me because it was taught that this, for all intents and purposes, was a military formation prepared to make the march to the Promised Land. I definitely wanted to include that somehow. Then I made another word web to remind myself all the things that make a movie poster a movie poster. Things like the credits in the iconic movie poster font, remembering the size so the proportions of the composition work, definitely have to have the orange and blue complementary colors, 'cause that's just classic drama. But some of the important questions about this specific poster were whether I wanted this poster to be a summary of the book or illustrate one aspect of it. I could spoil the entire movie by depicting the ending, or I could leave the context mysterious so that people will want to watch the movie. I decided on the latter because the assignment was not to try to capture the whole book. The assignment was how we could depict some of the least popular books in the Bible in a more popular format. So after collecting my thoughts, I started to sketch out some of the ideas I had, from some of the most generic to some more unique that I hadn't seen before. You've probably seen epic posters with one solitary character overlooking a vast land, which can emphasize the character if you notice him, but also giving hope to the journey ahead. Or the handoff moment, when an old master passes down leadership to the young apprentice. The background representing all the underlying responsibilities that come with the burden of leadership. Or even when you take the focus away from the characters and put that focus on the ginormousness of a force of nature, like a cloud or a pillar of fire, which starts to get the idea that the human characters are at the mercy of something greater than they are. But my first idea was my favorite, but also it was the most complicated. It was going to be in the shape of the formation of Israel that I wanted, but each vertical level would represent a certain progression of numbers, like one scene of these black dots being led by a pillar of fire, or the next level being healed by a bronze snake. The centerpiece would be the Ark of the Covenant, and maybe all this could be happening on an expansive white background. But then there was the AI. I was going to need help visualizing more, so I tried to recreate my ideas with an image generator, and was eerily surprised at how close the AI could get to the prompt I gave it based on the sketch that I already had. The AI reproductions of my ideas led me to a couple of possible conclusions. Either my ideas being used on the things that I grew up seeing is probably what the AI was also trained on, or two, I'm really good at giving prompts to AI to generate the desired result, or C, I'm just actually a low-level AI that can sketch. In any case, I ended up going with the lone Moses sitting on the cliff, watching the sunset over the promised land. I wish I could have developed my favorite one further, but I had no idea how to prompt the image generator, which also means it was too underdeveloped to progress, and ultimately difficult to understand even if I pushed through, because I only had... Although I used AI for inspiration, I wanted the end result to be my own pen strokes. Cue me having to relearn how to draw on my old graphics tablet, relearn how to use the free drawing program because I didn't have Photoshop anymore, and relearn how to cut and paste textures to get the look I wanted. The AI-generated image was a really good start, so I went through Google Images to find real-life people, real-life clouds, real-life mountains, to see if I could recreate it in painting style. You know what the difference between me and professional digital artists are? Like, 1,000,000 more brush strokes. It always could have been better if I had more time or put in more hours or used more AI. I lost a lot of depth by taking away the underlying photo textures, but the end result was something I could say was mine. Of course, it's hard to be happy with the end result when I procrastinate, but sometimes I have to just settle for done. I was so surprised that I didn't remember all the events that took place in numbers. You should know that the census is only at the beginning and the end, with the action bits in the middle, if you can just make it past the numbers.
And we're back, guys. So, just like, welcome you guys back. I am a little bit nervous.
If he's nervous, he can go first.
Cool. I mean, how's it been for you guys? How was the experience for all of you?
It was pretty fun.
Since becoming pastors and missionaries, most of them had not picked up drawing. But this project's purpose was to force each of them to take a break from their busy ministry, slow down, and enjoy an art session. While they were sharing their own experience through the project, I set up a surprise for them by inviting some of our dear fellow classmates to this Zoom meeting to be as a judge for our posters. And alongside with one of our professor, Dr. Justin, and they have no idea. Yeah, I think that's the main goal of this activity we're doing. But I'm gonna cut you right there because I did tell you guys there's a twist. Another twist.
No, another twist.
No, it's a welcoming twist that I can say because I did invite special guests into today's program as judge. I'll admit them.
Oh no! Oh! Hey!
Oh.
What? Wow! Crazy! Hey, everybody!
It has been 3 years since we graduated from Singapore Bible College, and most of us are in different countries, and it does feels like seminary all over again. And we showed our movie posters to our judges and explained the thought process behind the direction of the design. And we barely remember who won the contest. Now I'll leave that up to you, the audiences. We did end up spending another hour catching up with one another and reminiscing our time in seminary. Graduation felt like it just happened yesterday. It's incredible to see how far we've come. From a bunch of unknown people who got stuck in Singapore during COVID years, and now ministering to God's people throughout the world. And I am proud to show photos to my friends. Hey, this person who is preaching on the pulpit, he or she used to be my classmates back in seminary, and we've done tons of stupid stuff together. Yeah, I think that's cool.